I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Bill Thorpe. It's Wednesday.
Yes, he said Wednesday. Sort of good news, bad news. We're halfway there. But we're only halfway there. It's difficult, isn't it?
This is going to be a good hour. You're not going to want to miss this. We're talking to a young man named Blake Jones coming up here in just a second. He's part of Turning Point up at CSU. They tried to go out there and spread the good news of Jesus Christ, of free market capitalism, of all that good conservative stuff, and faced a lot of hostility up there. In fact, made some national news about it. We're going to talk with Blake in a second. Blake Jones. But in the meantime, let's go back to the phone lines real quick. Francis Golden. Good morning, Francis. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Hey, guys. Hey, here's my solution, and I think it could work. It's going to take a lot of weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth. First thing you do is you have to capitate all services and medications. And so, of course, the AMA and people like that are never going to want to do this, but you're going to have to cram it down their throat. Because whatever all these callers have said is right. The actual unit cost or service cost of these things is much lower than what is being billed.
Yep.
So capitate all that. The next thing you have to do, Obamacare had it right about this. You got to mandate coverage for everybody.
Yeah.
There can be no insurance scapes, and I'm not a prior caller said they're not insured and haven't been for a long time. They're actually really, really hurting the market for people who actually have insurance. They have to be covered, and all of the young people have to be covered. Everybody has to be covered because insurance works on an idea that it's a pooled risk. And if everybody is only incurring medical costs in the last 5 years of their life, or the vast majority of it, you got to have everybody younger not incurring those costs, helping to foot the bill. Now, finally, there has to be a recognition where all these insurance companies get to choose their own risk. They get to write the premiums based on your health,
right?
A la Frank and Evergreen. Now, so if you've let yourself go and you're going to be too much of a risk, at some point we have to demarcate who's going to be too darn expensive to insure. Those people go into a residual market, and all of the insurance providers have to write those policies to those people, and that's where there should be, if any, some form of government subsidy to help cover people who are otherwise uninsurable. And that is the solution.
Francis, I don't disagree. Honestly, it sounds like what we had, a few decades ago, with the exception of maybe more aggressive coverage of those that are not able to get insurance. But you have a really good, fair analysis, Francis. I wish we could spend some more time with you. We've got some guests coming up, but that was
really smart. That was really smart. But you're asking for compromise, Francis. So that means we're absolutely screwed from the beginning. But I think the intelligent
not when there's special interests involved.
Yeah. And I think the argument on that one is going to be where you draw the line for those that are uninsurable.
Yeah, right.
Because
that is going to be critical.
Because you and I, Jeff, may draw it based on someone's health care and health outcomes that are expected, where we know the insurance company is going to draw it based on a dollar amount.
Well, and true, we have to be comfortable as a society that if you are obese as a result of your own lifestyle choices, and now all of a sudden everybody else has to pay more for that, that's not fair, right? We have to talk about what's fair. And you may have to change your lifestyle, which is equally as challenging as getting people to compromise in this country. All right, now it's time for the news.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good Wednesday morning, 33 and sunny in Denver, expecting a high of 59 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, the Fed expected to announce another rate cut today. Too late, Powell could indicate this could be the last expected cut for now. Every time we talk about the Fed and the corrupt system and money and all that, I think about what President Bukele said from El Salvador at CPAC in 2024.
You could ask, well, so if the government can print the limited amounts of money out of thin air, why did they collect taxes?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I mean, in theory, it would make sense, right? If they can print unlimited amounts of money, why would they need taxes for? The answer is simple, but it's very shocking. The real problem is that you pay high taxes only to uphold the illusion that you are funding the government, which you are not.
Yes. And there should have been huge applause after that one. I think Jeff was there for that. Just think about that all the time. DJT says his tariffs have brought in trillions of dollars to the U.S. and pushed companies to invest in the country. He touted his economic agenda when he kicked off a national tour in PA on Tuesday, and he talked about his popularity.
Let me tell you, black people love Trump. I got the biggest vote. I got the biggest vote with black people. They know a scam better than anybody. They know what it is to be scammed. Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. We did great. Thank you. I like this guy.
And needless to say, he went off script a lot. A case about how inmates are declared intellectually disabled to avoid the death penalty will be heard by the Supreme Court today. The High Court ruled in 2002 that inmates with mental disabilities can be executed and left that determination up to the states. In the case of Alabama death row inmate Joseph Smith, the threshold includes an IQ of under 70. Smith has scored from 72 to 78 on multiple tests, and the state says he can be put to death. The former education secretary behind President George W. Bush's No Child Left Behind Act has passed away. Rod Page's family announced his death. He was 92. Aurora police searching for a man wearing red sweatpants and a black jacket riding a bicycle after a woman was shot in a parking lot in the 1100 block of South Havana near Mississippi. She suffered life-threatening injuries, was rushed to the hospital, and no update on her condition provided. But once again, searching for a man wearing red sweatpants in a black jacket. All right, I don't care what Barney says. I'm going to do it anyway. I love Barney, man. All right, last night, Candace received shocking information from a veteran who allegedly saw a key member of Charlie's security team at a military base with top brass following a big meeting just a couple days before the assassination of Charlie. Then the veteran was interrogated for 7 hours. It gets crazier. What was the last name of the commander interrogating him?
Questioned him for this long. He says this was the guy that was in charge, the commander. And he said he was approximately 36 years old. He had brown hair, the one I'm talking about that was leading the charge on asking him all the questions and interrogating him, and that his name was Captain Neff.
Whoa.
I'm going,
what? Whoa. I know. So Charlie's producer's last name is Neff, Blake Neff. Relation? Who knows? This thing gets, just out of control. I watch it, so You don't have to. I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it isn't real.
But you understand right now you're doing because a last name may be similar.
True.
Now there's a connection.
True. Good point. Good point.
That's okay. I mean, I don't think personally, I don't think we are skimming residency rolls across America to look for all the Mangionis that may have helped kill the healthcare official.
Who was the chica that was sitting out there going, Jeffrey Epstein, look, he took a donation for wrong Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, wrong Jeffrey Epstein, yes. That was Jasmine Crockett, wasn't it?
Crockett.
Yeah, wrong Epstein. Yeah, that's what I feel like. We're getting one of these. That people are like, that's not the same Jeffrey Epstein.
Man, it is. Guys, it's getting crazy. So I'll watch today's episode.
I can agree with that.
Gosh.
I can agree with crazy
today. We only have 3 more episodes. It's
crazy.
It's getting. I want to. What's the word? I want to turn over every.
We're going to end up with an intervention.
No. Yes. Exactly. Yes. I think possibly
one Friday on the show, we're going to be like, Blake, we got to talk to you.
You're right. Exactly. The key information though is Brigitte Macron is a man. Just.
Luckily, Candace will have a chance to prove that, and we are going to continue to come back to the idea that she staked her professional reputation on that claim. So a lot hinges on these upcoming claims, and she better be able to prove it because she made the affirmative claim. It wasn't the idea that Brigitte Macron, she's having the defense. So Candace says it's true, and this is a liable and slander case. So the way that Candace can prove it and have this thing go away is she just has to come in and just show all the proof. But we've seen how well that has worked out for Fox News and Joel Altman and other people like that. Yeah, when they got into court, didn't provide anything. So we will all wait with bated breath to see what happens.
To Nashville, Avs and Predators hockey.
Speaking of Predators, sorry, had to.
4-3 the final. Man, I need my rim shot. Man, the Avs are 21-2-7. Avalanche lose it 4-3 the final. Broncos continue to work today. They're back on the practice field. They're going for 11 straight against the Packers this weekend. The Packers. And Phillip Rivers, hope to hear from him today. Now with the Colts signed on the practice squad. 31 in Thornton, 30 in Highlands Ranch, 33 in Denver. You're waking up with Jeff and Bill. Blake Olson, News Talk, 710 KNUS.
Other than some windy areas, and there will be plenty of wind along the Front Range and foothills and mountains over the next couple of days, we're going to be looking at mild, dry weather as all the significant weather stays to the north and east of us. Partly cloudy, windy at times, upper 50s and low 60s, low to mid 30s tonight. Mid to upper 50s Wednesday, near 40 Wednesday night. Temperatures will be 50s and 60s Thursday, trending a bit cooler for Friday and into the weekend, but the real cold stays away. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Met a talented young man when I was out speaking for Turning Point recently. His name's Blake Jones. He's a student up at Colorado State University. He told me about an incident that they had dealt with that's now actually making national news. Here's the headline from Fox. College students claims he was spat on and harassed for drawing Bible verses on campus. This is all happening at Colorado State University. Well, Blake Jones joins us now. Good morning, Blake. Thanks for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yeah, good morning.
Of course, yeah, thank you for having me. Good morning to you guys. Really glad to help get this message out. So
yeah,
very appreciative to be on the show.
Tell us what happened up there.
So it was supposed to be a anti-ICE protest that I was attending, which was very interesting. Me and a few other Turning Point members decided to go, and we were just going to start asking everyone why they were so against legal detaining of illegal immigrants. Like when ICE follows the law, makes sure they're obviously following federal law and state law to detain illegal immigrants. We wanted to know why people were so against that. But I feel the whole message of the protest unfortunately got overshadowed because someone that morning had drawn a big cross on campus, and the Young Democrat Socialists of America, or Young Democratic Socialists of America, decided it would be fun to draw a big transgender Jesus Christ on the cross, which was really just disgusting to me, very blasphemous. So I went out and tried to spread the actual gospel, real Bible verses, little like real crosses, everything like that, and people were very hostile towards me for it.
It seems fascinating that's happening on the campus of Colorado State University, which generally would be considered one of the more conservative campuses versus maybe, Colorado College or CU Boulder, but facing a lot of hostility up there. So you didn't draw the cross; somebody else had done a cross, and then the Democrat Socialists of America had gone to somebody else that had done a cross, and then over top of it did a transgender Jesus. Is that what happened?
Unfortunately, yes. This is a trend that happens all the time. Us with Turning Point, we have strict rules that we cannot draw with chalk over anyone else's drawing. We cannot reply negatively to anyone else's artwork or drawings. But the Democratic Socialists of America, the Young Democrats of America, a bunch of these liberal clubs on campus, they do not seem to follow the same rules. They alter our drawings all the time. They reply to us negatively all the time. I one time wrote abortion is murder. They changed it to abortion is awesome. We wrote to follow Turning Point USA on Instagram. They wrote don't follow Turning Point USA on Instagram. And then they wrote that the only good Nazi is a dead Nazi, which they need to know we agree with them very much so on that. We just disagree on what qualifies as a Nazi, I believe.
Oh, yeah. No, it seems like anybody that they disagree with, they throw into that category. We're talking with a young man named Blake Jones. He's with Turning Point USA up at Colorado State University. Now, Blake, I was intrigued by your own personal story. I listened to an interview you did where you talked about how you've recently come to faith. You've recently become a conservative. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's very hard to put into words, I guess, the exact experience I had, but I grew up as a non-denominational Christian. I was I attended Red Rocks Church, not every weekend, but a few times a year, and for some reason, non-denominational church to me always it felt like it was sometimes more about the pastor and less about God and Jesus, themselves, which kind of turned me away from religion and a whole, unfortunately. And then I took a trip to Europe with my family, and I went to the Vatican City. I was touring all these beautiful churches in Rome, and eventually I got to Portugal, and I felt really broken and empty one morning, and there was no explanation as to why. And one of the churches we were touring, I got inside, and I just felt this presence. I believe I felt the presence of God. It was like more real to me than my own family that was standing right next to me. It was very weird, and it implored me just to go sit down at the pews and pray and just break down to God and just pray for multiple minutes there, just sobbing. And I immediately started feeling better. Everything just kind of clicked in that moment, and I've been following Catholicism ever since then. Really unexplainable experience, really, but I just felt the presence of God, I think, is the best way to put it.
And how has that changed your life? So that took place, I think, this last summer, I think you mentioned. So
August, yeah.
August. So how did that change things going into the school year? I mean, we're only into December, so it's been a few months. But I met you at a Turning Point event at the School of Mines. You seem on fire, man. You seem not only on fire with your faith, but also with wanting to be a part of Turning Point and the work that they're doing on college campuses. So tell us how this last semester has been different.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I think a big part of it is it's both the religion aspect and Charlie Kirk being assassinated earlier this year, unfortunately. Both of those kind of formed together and just showed me how messy our world is really getting out here. I know people who are Christian who've been harassed for their faith long before I ever became a Christian. I actually was one of the people that thought it was kind of ridiculous to believe in any sort of God. Obviously not anymore. But I think going into school this year with this Christian faith, it's just helped me. I'm praying multiple times a day. I'm trying to do everything for God and what God would want me to do instead of just putting my own interest first, which I think is a big thing. And as I said, a big part of this is Charlie Kirk's passing away. That was a big sign to me that not only do these people want to kill like these political candidates, but they want to kill people like me who just have these views that oppose them. I had a lot of views similar to Charlie Kirk's, so when I saw him get shot for all those views that we share, I was just very terrified. I thought, wow, the world's really falling apart. I think I need to be closer to my faith and really spread the message of the gospel more and spread my beliefs more, because I like to live on just purely good morals. That's what I like to judge all my decisions off of. What's the moral decision? And a lot of these people that hate on Christianity, I tend to notice they don't really have morals set in stone. They kind of just decide what their morals are on the day, and I think that's a really sad way to live.
And this is a really important point that I want our listeners to understand is, yes, Charlie's death was very public, and the whole world kind of saw that. And on college campuses all around this country, you have young conservative men and women that share a lot of the same values that are, one, never going to have the security protection that Charlie had, aren't going to have the institutional protection, that they're oftentimes out there what feels like on an island all by yourself in a big setting with a lot of people that disagree with you, and they do quiet labor to both share the gospel, but then also to try to inform their classmates when it comes to the conservative worldview. And they do so facing tremendous opposition, and they don't get the attention and the support back that major figures often would, and they just quietly work. I find that so fascinating and interesting. Blake Jones, you're at Colorado State University. Tell us about what it's like being a young conservative on a college campus when Students for Justice in Palestine, for instance, or the Young Democrats, Socialist America, are actively and openly persecuting you.
Yeah, I have quite a few stories about this. I'll limit it to just a few, obviously. But you are correct. People are doing this silently and spreading the gospel silently, as you said. The person who wrote the cross on campus that the transgender Jesus was drawn over, the original cross, we don't know who drew that. They never came out and announced themselves, at least not to me or to my Turning Point president that I'm aware of, which I think is great. They're just, spreading the word of God anonymously, which I think is even better. They don't want the attention for themselves. But some of the things that happens to me for doing this, I'm obviously much more loud with it, much more open and public with it, is I'll write things on the ground like God loves you or God loves everyone, and people will go change it to God loves trans people. And I'm like, of course he does. God loves everybody. He's God, I didn't say he didn't love trans people, but people tend to focus our religion on as if it's based on hate, as if we hate everyone who's not like a straight white man. That's not the case at all. I think God loves you no matter who you are. When I got spit on, I prayed for the guy to see the light, to find Jesus, and to realize the wrong in his actions. I had a teacher who saw me wear a Trump hat to class, and he was just glaring at me all class long. And then a few classes later, I told him with my hat on, I said, "Hey, I have to leave class early today. Just wanted to let you know." And he looked me right in the eyes and went, "You suck," and turned around and started talking to another student. I didn't know if he said that because of my hat or because I was leaving class, but he also said that he believes Charlie Kirk would have wanted his son to die because his son was gay. So he says all these very liberal things, including telling a student they suck when they're wearing a political hat. It's very interesting to me, the treatment that we receive on campus. I think if a Republican teacher told a liberal student they sucked for wearing a Harris Walls hat, there would be a lot of backlash there. I contacted the school.
And this often comes from people that claim the mantle of tolerance and coexistence and those types of things, and then they're clearly not. I think they're some of the most vicious, bigoted people that are out there. But we talk about what Charlie walked into on these college campuses. He walked into a place, and they're all over this country. They are all over, and they are educating the next level of industry leaders, of educators, of attorneys, of lawmakers. These institutions in every state all across this country are progressive through and through and openly hostile to conservatives. They're progressives at the Board of Trustees. They're progressives at the president's level, at the faculty and staff, at the teacher, administrator level. They're progressive in the education content and curriculum that's taught, the student body's overwhelmingly progressive. These are not institutions where, you guys are a major threat to the agenda that's pressed through these universities. They're overwhelmingly progressive. 90+%. When you get into faculty and evaluations, it's like 95% progressive. And one student wearing a MAGA hat walking around on college campus becomes the center of attention that they must confront the students and the faculty, because how dare you? These institutions are ever. This is what Charlie Kirk walked into. And this is the place where he was assassinated, these types of institutions.
Yeah. It's gross. It's gross. I said, stuff happens to me all the time. The Young Democrat Socialists of America had a walkout against the administration recently, which I actually wanted to participate in, because the administration of CSU, I have to say, I'm not super happy with either. I got assaulted on their campus, and one out of the five security cameras that would have viewed this incident were working. One, and it didn't get the assault on video, which I thought was both disgusting, just a lack of safety, and appalling by CSU, really. They didn't have any cops stationed either, and it took 30 minutes for an officer to respond. So I think the administration is failing for both liberals and Republicans a lot of the time. But I tried to do this walkout with the Young Democrat Socialists of America, and they explicitly told all of their members not to associate with me, not to associate with any Turning Point members, not to associate with people who disagree with their ideals. And I tried to tell one of them, hey, I really appreciate what you're doing. This is great. I love standing up against the CSU administration. They're kind of messing with both of us, no matter what we think politically. At least we can agree on this. And the guy I was talking to started replying, and one of the leaders of the club walked up and said, he's not our comrade. He's not one of our comrades. You don't want to talk to him. And I was mind blown. I was like, are you kidding me? You're controlling who your members are allowed to talk to, but every single day you call me a cult member, you call me brainwashed, you call me a fascist, a Nazi, whatever, but you won't even not only will you not talk to me, you won't let your members talk to me.
Right.
It's insane to me.
Because
I can't even believe it sometimes.
The point, Blake, is that these institutions, not just higher education, but K through 12 as well, they're not engaged in the practice of education, which requires critical thinking and discussion and debate and Socratic method and those types of things. They're in the business of indoctrination, and they're in the business of turning out progressive, woke activists. I often say that the institutions aren't failing. They're doing exactly what they intend to do right now. K through 12 education, for instance, kids can't pass a math test. They're failing at standardized tests, and SAT scores are lower than they've ever been. But they can tell you there's oppressors versus oppressed in the world, that Republicans are Nazis and they need to be opposed, and that the government's the solution to all of our problems. So it's actually doing what it intends to do right now, which is produce little Marxist activists and these incredibly brave young conservatives. And Blake, when you and I were talking at the Turning Point event, I said that this is kind of a badge of honor for most conservatives. This is something we've been going through since the 90s. There was a funny movie, don't go watch it because it's inappropriate, but it's called PCU, Politically Correct University, that came out in the 90s that made fun of how progressive the college campuses were getting. But this has been happening now for 30 years. It's part of a badge of honor. But what's wild to me, Blake, is the leader of the young conservative movement in America was openly assassinated on a college campus. And young conservatives left in the wake of all that all over America are facing increasing, not declining, but increasing hostility to the work that you're doing. For one moment, CSU had a memorial there for Charlie, but now the members, the young conservatives that are left in the wake of that, are facing this open hostility. I think you guys are braver than any young conservatives on any college campus in the last 30 years, what you guys are facing.
I appreciate that. And, even when the memorial happened for Charlie Kirk at CSU, I'm not sure if you know who Destiny is. He's an online political persona for
I watched it. It was terrible. It was terrible.
Yeah, excuse me, but that guy is a clown. I'm sorry. That guy is an absolute clown. He came here and literally tried to tell us conservatives that we needed to turn the heat down, and that the reason Charlie Kirk died is that we were too aggressive on the conservative side and turned down the heat. He claimed that conservatives need to be afraid to go speak out in public. They need to be afraid of being shot until we can turn the temperature down and calm down a little bit. Well, Destiny, we're not the side shooting people in the neck because we disagree with them. That was just really disgusting to me, that you're going to come to our campus on the day we're having a memorial for this man and try to, like, do your own little thing across campus and pull people away at the same time. And then not to mention the Young Democratic Socialists of America, when they found out Charlie Kirk was coming to CSU, posted an entire Instagram post condemning CSU for inviting him, condemning us for allowing him to ever be here, calling him a racist, fascist, Nazi, all the buzzwords. And then he gets assassinated, and they post nothing about it. They don't condemn his death. They don't condemn people celebrating his death. They don't even mention it. But they condemn him being invited to our campus. It's disgusting to see in real time. Just truly disgusting.
That's Blake Jones. He's with Turning Point USA. He's a member of their program at Colorado State University. All right, Blake, you've been wonderful with your time. You're on a radio show right now, broadcast across the city of Denver. It's Denver's top talk radio show. What is your message to fellow conservatives out there on college campuses that are facing hostility like you are? What is your message to the faculty and staff of Colorado State University? And the student body is there as well.
Yeah, so to start off, my message to the faculty would be, I think if there's protests happening like the one where I got assaulted at, and 4 of your cameras are down, I think it's very important that you have an officer stationed at these protests or at the very least nearby so you can respond in under half an hour. And for the fellow conservatives out there, Christians, Catholics, whatever you may be, I think it's very important that you continue preaching your faith, continue preaching your morals, continue preaching your politics with kindness and a good heart and good morals and good intentions only, to try to show people the actual light, show them we're not all evil, we're not all hateful, we're very nice people most of the time. We just want equality.
I think that's a great message, Blake. You're a bold, strong leader in your community. I appreciate what Turning Point's doing. I mean, all across Colorado college campuses, when we were at Colorado School of Mines, heavy security presence, just simply to be able to talk about the gospel of Jesus Christ, the conservative worldview, required a tremendous security presence. That should give you an insight to what's happening on college campuses and how brave these young conservatives are. Think about it. Think about what happened to Charlie. These guys are continuing the work, facing an elevated level of hostility that very few conservatives have ever had to face. I appreciate what you're doing. And Blake, I'll encourage you with this. We don't read about anybody in the Bible simply because they had a great life and everything was wonderful. Every great hero of the faith faced tremendous opposition during their time. They maintained their commitment to the truth, to biblical values in the midst of that opposition, and that's why we celebrate them as great leaders of our faith. Blake, thanks for what you're doing at Colorado State University. Stay strong, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for the time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
All right, let's talk Gyrie's, folks. My wife and I had an absolutely fantastic experience at Gyrie's. They're all over the Denver metro area. We went to the one in Parker and got to sit down with their professional designer where they showed us an incredible selection of Hunter Douglas custom blinds, shades, and shutters. Look, a little overwhelmed at first. I've never worked with a professional designer. I was too afraid of the cost, to be honest with you. And it wasn't outrageous. In fact, it was very reasonable with Gyrie's, and the designer was a real pro. She walked us through everything, helped us find the perfect options to enhance the look and functionality of our home. So whether your curtains are clashing or you just want a fresh look, Gyrie's has the solutions for you. They're designers or the experts, and they can help you with everything from window treatments to full room decor. Here's the best part. They offer a personalized in-home consultation. They'll come to you, so you can get the same expert advice right in your own home. Do yourself a favor. Get started today. Visit Gyrie's.com to schedule your in-home consultation. That's GUIRYS.com. Go see the great people at Gyrie's. You'll be sure to thank me. Want to hear from our listeners on this is that, I think what's happening on college campuses is getting more vicious. We all remember college Republicans. They've been around forever. They used to do kind of affirmative action bake sales, right? That was a popular thing in the 90s, and college Republicans, I was one of them, were kind of darky, right? Under Charlie's leadership, he became a force on these college campuses, died on a college campus, confronting how progressive these college institutions have become. And now you see this vicious hatred towards Turning Point, not excused, not tempered down. In fact, I would say more vicious than ever before. And I mean, is it worth sending your kids to these institutions, especially if they're young conservatives? For you that are parents out there, would you send your kid to CU Boulder or Colorado State University or Colorado College or DU, knowing that as a young conservative, if they're outspoken, they're going to be spit upon, yelled at, protested? Is it worth it? Give us a call, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Text messages hot on this one as we talked to a student from Colorado State University. He's been spat upon for being a conservative up there and being part of Turning Point. They've drawn over anything. They try to do Bible verses on the ground, and people from the Democrats, Socialists of America, drawing over it, drawing a transgender Jesus on a cross up there. Just, I've said this before, but I think that the last true form of bigotry in America is towards Christians. You know, the fact that the faculty isn't stepping in on this. Could you imagine if Turning Point was spitting on trans kids?
Yeah, the thing that got me in that entire conversation was the story about the teacher. And you and I just talked about it off air, that when the teacher turned and said something denigrating to Blake, while Blake Jones is a student in that professor's class, there is never a time in which it is appropriate for the teacher to make a personal attack like that on a student. We talked about it off air, Jeff. I don't care if you're a first grade teacher. I don't care if you're a fifth grade teacher. I don't care if you're a 12th grade teacher. I don't care if you're a college professor. That is not the time. You can like or dislike your students all you want, but you do not, in that professional setting, walk up when you are instructing them and tell them that you think they're so-and-so.
Yeah,
you just
I agree
don't
with
do
you,
that.
but I think that's, and I appreciate that because while you are trying to maintain this element of a proper classroom decorum for the purpose of education, I think what's happening is the formation of progressive activists. So it becomes a form of shaming in order for that educational institution to be able to achieve that, right? So our goal here is to form you to be a progressive little activist. That's my job as a teacher. And when you act out, when you wear your MAGA hat, I have the responsibility to shame you into embracing the worldview that I want. So, but I appreciate your commitment to the idea of quality education. I just don't think that's happening anymore. Joining us live in studio.
Yeah, speaking of quality education,
yeah, Pete Boyles. He didn't need any of those.
I listened to that young
fancy
man coming in. I was driving in. There's been an axiom that has suggested the last place on earth that Marxism and communism survive is American colleges and universities on campuses. And, you know, that poor kid, that's my reaction to him. Why treat him that way? There's no sense of it.
Especially when the whole institution's, so overwhelmingly in the other direction, right? From the president, board of trustees, down to faculty, staff, curriculum, everything is progressive. And the one little kid with the red hat, you got to go chase him down?
One of my projections is that kid who spit on that young man 15 years or 20 years from now will be going to a mega church, be selling real estate and voting Republican. That's inevitable.
It's like a Paul conversion, right?
It's like Paul on the road to Damascus. Yeah. Boom. Wait a minute. When you find some woman, you fall in love, you want a home, you want kids, that stuff goes out the window real quick. And if you track him down, that's almost an inevitability. Or he's running for office.
Pete, what do you got for folks this weekend? What are you covering?
Two things. First of all, I want to congratulate you guys. STEP is a very near and dear to my heart. And that money you guys raised, I caught the tail end of the total.
30,000 yesterday.
Home run, fellas.
Wow.
Just an absolute home run. You did an incredible job. I think that may be the highest number so far that anybody on the job's raised on STEP. So thank you for that. That was great work. I've been drifting into these sort of philosophical, and they're more like perhaps sounding boards for me, but I want to do an open line Saturday on how has Donald Trump changed America? Number two, how has Donald Trump changed you? And not necessarily good, bad, or indifferent, but rather people will react. And how has Donald Trump changed this country? And how has Donald Trump changed you and or your family? Or we know Donald Trump has changed talk radio, something that we all do. So I think it's a really good honor. We'll see what happens.
I think about this a lot because I came up, my very first vote for president was Bush in 2000.
All right.
I had just turned 18 2 weeks before the election.
Wow.
So very first vote, Bush. So a lot of my engagement with Republicans was that kind of Bush style.
Sure.
Right? And then John McCain and Mitt Romney, and how Donald Trump came in and changed the entire party, in my mind, to be more aggressive, more comfortable taking territory. You know, in the past, it used to just kind of be, well, we're going to share our positions. And Donald Trump's like, no, hit him over the head. Take the territory.
And again, what people think or their perceptions will be reality. And so and there's that, we jam the lines on Saturday morning with those drift back into what do you think calls. And people, nobody, I know this much, nobody is neutral about Donald Trump. No one.
That's exactly right, Pete. That's exactly right.
I mean, he's not when people drifted into, say, Jimmy Carter, there were people, okay, Jimmy Carter. And
he's a nice guy.
Yeah,
that type of thing. Yeah.
And it was aftermath of Nixon and the war and everything. Nobody, I don't know anybody, good, bad, or indifferent, that says, oh, yeah, Donald Trump, ... Doesn't happen.
That's going to be a great show.
Well,
those phone lines will be jammed.
Yeah, well, see, everybody has a sense. Yeah, so
that's great, Pete.
But again, congratulations, you guys, yesterday.
Thanks.
That was good stuff.
Well, what we kept talking about, you can see it in this conversation right now, is we have lots of disagreements on things, but the one thing that you can get all of us around is that Step Denver is changing lives.
Yeah.
It's working.
And I want to, as a project, and I'm thinking about taking it on because I'm in the middle of another project, but their true history of that place, and before it gets lost. And I always tribute, what Mike Rosen did in that moment, and the arrival of Bob Cote.
Yeah.
Bob was not the founder, but what it was like. Bob was a member of the first guys who went in to get well,
right?
But he didn't start it, and just how it developed. And
oh, that was great. Yeah, because Amy was in yesterday, and she told us early on that one of the things they had just discovered was that originally Step Denver was across the street, and that when they got a chance to get the building across the street at $1 a year for 10 years as far as a lease, it was all the guys inside that came across that had the skills. They're like, but we need an electrician. And one of the guys getting service there is like, I'm an electrician. Another dude's like, but I'm a plumber. So the guys that were there going through the recovery program were the guys that built the place that is now servicing the guys in the recovery program, which is beautiful. That is such a cool story. And it is something that should be remembered, because everybody that walks in there and is looking for that second chance looks at it and goes, hey, guys that were in the same place that I am right now helped build this place. Literally laid the pipe, laid the electricity, did the lumber, put the stuff on the walls. They helped build this. If they can do it, I can get clean.
Well, the other part of it is as there always is, there's a sense of the place that the stories are not, they're not told because they're not politically correct.
Yeah.
But I witnessed a lot of it, and I witnessed Cote in action. I witnessed how the city treated Bob. And I saw Bob do some things that were incredibly brave. He was raw-boned. He wasn't educated. He didn't have the skills of sophisticated people to today deal in treatment. He was a guy. He fought in the gloves in Detroit. He knew some bad guys. He had done some things that that maybe we would not be proud of. But he emerges out of all of that as this. He was raw-boned, and I saw him go outside after people, and he kept a ball bat underneath the desk because what that street was before before Coors Field. It was rough. There were people he was at war with. Really, people, liquor stores, and the people who would cash the Social Security checks of the street guys and give them liquor for their money.
Yeah.
We went to things where people handed out things, and you saw them later in hawk shops and bars. He really was the guy. And before all of that gets away, Rosen knows a lot of it. And
you guys got to do that.
We have to do it.
Got to do that.
Some of the old residents who lived there, and there was some pretty interesting stuff. So
that's history that's got to be passed on. Pete,
thanks, guys.
He's going to be on Saturday 9 to 1. Great conversation coming up with him this weekend. You're not going to want to miss it as they explore the impact Donald Trump's had on your life. Man, that's going to be a fantastic show. All right, let's get to a break. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Great conversation with Peter Boyles. Let's go to the phone line. Steve in Denver. Good morning, Steve. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Yeah, morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good. How are you? What's on your mind?
Well, I'm doing good. I'm from Denver. I'm 69 years old. I went to East High School, and I went there in between 73 and 75, and it was kind of a tumultuous time back then. There was a lot of things happening that were racially charged, and that was a very interesting school to go to. And back then, there were, if you disobeyed the rules, the teachers could actually get you corrected in some way. And I think people are afraid to bear down because everybody has phones and everybody can make an instant what do you want to call that, a prompt and discredit you as a teacher. I think that would be true. And there was a program called Senior Seminar, and it was founded in Denver at East High School, and it took 120 seniors in the last semester, and it was all chosen by just a random draw of the names. If you put your name in, and you spent the last semester traveling 100 miles. You had to walk through the Sonora Desert. You lived with the Indians on the Navajo Reservation for 2 weeks. You did inner city programs in between, and these were people that lived with one-parent homes, people that might have come from wealthy homes, and you put a squad of 12 people together for the last semester, and we learned. And this year was our 50th anniversary, and I went to the reunion, and most of these people that went on that program...
we've got to get to a break. I'm sorry to cut
Steve.
you off.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is KNUS.